Across South Africa, millions of children, especially those with disabilities, struggle to access sports, arts, and learning beyond the classroom. These activities aren't extras, they're gateways to confidence, social skills, resilience, and belonging. Extramurals are where children discover their identities, build friendships, and learn teamwork, discipline, creativity, and leadership. When access breaks down, these developmental foundations weaken, and the opportunity gap widens long before adulthood. My story begins in 2006, when I happened to be working as an administrator at a high school in Norway. We had an annual cultural exchange with the Drakensberg Boys Choir. And each year, the performances they created with our learners left me speechless. I traveled to South Africa for the first time soon after, and found a country overflowing with talent, but with shockingly limited opportunity. One visit became many, and in 2011, I moved here permanently. Since then, I've been continuously searching for a way to unlock this country's potential, especially for young people, by making opportunity visible and accessible, including those whose talents remain overlooked because of disability or structural exclusion. In 2017, I was hired by the City of Cape Town to help develop a strategic plan for the performing arts sector. I facilitated honest and often painful conversations with musicians, actors, and dancers. The process showed a strong plan, but delivered no funding and no mandate to implement it. Sound familiar? It was during this time that I met members of the Unmute Dance Company, whose mission is to advance disability inclusion through art. I'll never forget that we only had 20 chairs, but 22 people arrived. Thankfully, 2 dancers brought their own chairs with them. What struck me then is how similar the barriers are across disability-focused programs too. The simple truth is that the system doesn't work. Government can't fix it, providers cannot survive on passion alone, and the people who need access most, especially disabled youth, are often the last to benefit. We need a new model that values participation and shared responsibility, not one that relies on perpetual rescue. Behind every great dance class or sports program is a service provider struggling to make ends meet. Marketing is inconsistent, admin endless, and income uncertain. For disability-focused providers, the load is even heavier. Specialized training, adapted activities, and higher costs make sustainability precarious. These practitioners keep our learning and creative ecosystems alive, yet they do so with minimal recognition and almost no systemic support. But you know this. The barriers are also a problem for a key target market, families. Families struggle to find trusted, inclusive providers. Accessibility information is scattered or hidden. Transport and cost become real barriers, and venues are rarely suitable. Providers want to serve more children but lack visibility, guidance, or administrative support, and disability is still seen through stigma, and even the providers who want to be inclusive often lack training, equipment, or accessible spaces. And as we know, disability isn't only physical, it includes neurodivergence, sensory needs, learning difficulties, and developmental disabilities. These require clearer information and more specialized offerings than families can easily find. Without coordination, inclusion becomes accidental rather than intentional. Both families and providers lose time, money, and hope because accessibility isn't just ramps and signage, it's systems. When people can't participate in arts, sports, or community life, confidence erodes and social bonds weaken. Future pathways narrow long before talent has a chance to develop. Exclusion compounds over time, creating a ripple effect across families and communities. We lose diverse voices, shared experiences, and the spaces where understanding, skills, and belonging is built. In short, we lose the everyday infrastructure that holds a healthy society together. In 2022, while managing operations at Michael Oak Waldorf School in the southern suburbs, I asked a basketball coach to run a holiday clinic. Within a week, 20 kids signed up, and he earned 18,000 Rand for 20 hours of work. That's 900 Rand an hour. Parents sent me thank you messages for creating a safe, engaging space for their children. It was a clear demonstration that what becomes possible when coordination, visibility, and trust exist. And as a parent of 4 boys, I also know firsthand how much time it takes when good systems don't exist. And like many parents, I am tired of filling out indemnity forms by hand. When my oldest son was diagnosed with diabetes at age 12, we faced many challenges. But one thing we didn't struggle with was the government's clarity about his rights. A single letter from the Department of Education outlined exactly what he was entitled to: extra time, extra lessons, and reasonable accommodations. It felt as if a magic wand had been waved over one part of our lives. It showed me that real inclusion is possible when rights are made practical, timely, and easy to understand. And yes, all medical costs were fully covered until he turned 18. But this was Norway, a country with extreme wealth and an efficient government. It wasn't always that way, however, but it proves what becomes possible when systems work. In 2018, the Nordic countries actually asked themselves the question, why are our governments among the most effective in the world? The answer was social trust, the highest measured globally. High trust made every part of society function more smoothly: schools, health, systems, public services, business, and community life. But this didn't happen by accident. It was built over many decades through consistent community participation and transparent institutions. Their model can be followed. The real question is how we accelerate it in South Africa. Social trust, as I said, doesn't grow by accident. It is built through consistent, reliable interactions over time. This is why platforms like Uber, Airbnb, and Takealot use rating systems. They mimic the mechanisms of social trust to improve service delivery between strangers. Platform cooperatives apply the same principle, but for public good. Instead of maximizing corporate profit, they are designed to help individuals reach personal goals, strengthen local service delivery, and rebuild trust within communities. So what if these challenges weren't failures, but design flaws that we can fix? What if we could build a cooperative platform connecting parents, youth, educators, therapists, coaches, and service providers, creating a fair, transparent marketplace that makes inclusive participation both accessible and sustainable? What if every child, regardless of ability, circumstance, or geography, could find their place in the system rather than at its edges? Across arts, sports, and culture, every young person follows the same developmental path: exposure, practice, performance, profession. Not all go to the level of profession, of course, but many dream of it. For many, especially those with additional needs, this pathway, however, is often blocked at step 1. We need to make these pathways visible and continuous, ensuring a child's growth isn't limited by access, information gaps, or missed opportunities. Instead of fragmented offerings scattered across schools, WhatsApp groups, and social media, what if we built a digital village, a single trusted marketplace where all families can easily discover opportunities and where inclusive providers finally get the visibility they deserve? This isn't a corporate platform or a government program. It's a cooperative ecosystem grounded in fairness, representation, and shared ownership, quite literally owned and operated by the people it serves. When everyone can easily find, share, and benefit from opportunities, inclusion becomes something we build together, not something we hope for. Ilali means village in the isiXhosa language, because it does take a village to raise a child. But villages today must embrace digital infrastructure to connect and serve us. Ilali helps families discover nearby activities, supports inclusive providers, and strengthens communities through participation, visibility, and shared value. It is both a platform and a philosophy. Inclusion isn't declared, it's deliberately designed into every interaction. We co-designed Ilali with hundreds of parents, youth, and service providers, educational entrepreneurs, as I call them. Workshops, interviews revealed the same needs everywhere: trust, clear information, affordability, accessibility, and support. Mapping frustrations and opportunities from both sides helped us to design a platform rooted in empathy and lived reality, not assumptions. Inclusive designs means the people who will use the system shape it from the beginning, ensuring relevance, fairness, and long-term adoption. And continual improvement means we will keep listening, including to all of you in the room today. Ilali brings order to a chaotic landscape by creating a single reliable marketplace for families to find trusted providers, check accessibility details, compare options, and understand costs. Venues fill unused space and providers expand their reach. And every transaction builds reputation and trust. The curated ecosystem produces what I refer to as the Airbnb effect. Visibility leads to more participation, participation increases demand, and demand improves supply. And because inclusion depends on more than just activities, Ilali will also allow parents and providers to find, book, and pay for complementary services such as transport, adaptive equipment, and venue support, all within the same ecosystem. We recognize the costs are high, but so is the need. Ilali introduces Ubuntu Rewards, a way for families, including those caring for disabled youth, to earn credits by volunteering, contributing time, or supporting community activities. Providers benefit from engagement and loyalty. By valuing contribution, not just money, Ilali helps make inclusion affordable and sustainable. Participation becomes a genuine form of currency in a more humane economy. A case study. Raising two very differently abled children has required one of our early parent partners to become a full-time researcher. Her son is an avid and successful young golfer. His sister is on the autism spectrum and needs an entirely different set of supports, environments, and opportunities. For years, the mother has spent countless hours coordinating coaches, therapists, sensory-friendly programs, safe venues, because no system exists to guide her. She's already offered to share her hard-won knowledge on Ilali so that other parents won't have to start from zero and gain a clearer, kinder pathway forward. And through our Ubuntu Rewards model, her lived expertise would be valued, earning her credits for contributing insight that strengthens the entire community. Parents juggle work, logistics, care, responsibilities, and extramural choices. Ilali helps them find trusted, vetted providers, including those offering adapted or specialized programs, reducing stress and saving time. When information is clear, inclusion becomes possible. When systems work, families breathe easier. Ilali handles the friction of coordination so families can focus on their child's participation and well-being. Because choice can be overwhelming, AI-powered recommendations will help parents and caregivers quickly identify the most suitable classes, venues, support services, and transport options, turning uncertainty into clarity. Ilali strengthens service providers by increasing their visibility, improving their market reach, and offering reputation-building tools. Profiles include qualifications, accessibility features and training, testimonials, and offerings, functioning like LinkedIn meets Shopify for this particular sector of the economy. This turns invisible talent into visible opportunity and passion into stable income. By embedding accessibility into profiles from the start, Ilali helps educational entrepreneurs reach the families who need the most, supported with guidance, training, and practical tools for inclusion. Another case study. The Conquerors Wheelchair Basketball Club trains weekly, yet few parents, schools, or providers even know they exist. Their players include amputees, spinal injury survivors, and young people with various physical disabilities. Yet their greatest obstacles have nothing to do with ability. They struggle with transport, equipment, venue access, and chronic underfunding, not because the sport lacks value, but because no system connects them to the wider community. This is where Ilali can make a difference by giving disability-focused programs a visible, trusted home in the local ecosystem and by enabling sustained support through Ubuntu Rewards. Families and businesses can donate points or volunteer time, and inclusive clubs can activate integrated funding tools such as Bucket Buddy. Ilali's role is simple: make the invisible visible and make sustainability possible. Each booking and interaction generates valuable insight into where opportunities exist, where gaps remain, and where investment is needed. This helps families make informed choices and helps providers understand real demand. Policymakers and funders can see in real time which communities lack access for disabled youth. Families, schools, and community organizations gain robust quality assurance. Providers gain evidence to strengthen funding applications, partnerships, and training. AI also strengthens this process, helping identify patterns, flag accessibility shortages, and recommend where new programs, adaptive equipment, or transport services are most needed, without tracking or profiling people. The goal isn't surveillance, it's to illuminate what's working, what's missing, and where communities need more support. Ilali is grounded in Ubuntu economics, a system where value grows through participation, not just financial transaction. Creative work, teaching, care, and instruction are recognized as real economic activities. Connection itself becomes the foundation of prosperity. As the platform scales, it will offer meaningful support to providers, very important in the gig economy, such as insurance, medical aid, financial tools, and eventually shared ownership. When people can contribute and benefit fairly, wealth becomes a shared outcome rather than an individual privilege. And because economic value will not be extracted, we can reinvest into accessibility and infrastructure. As any corporate knows, the more people have access, the more who participate. Around the world, member cooperatives consistently reduce costs for their communities by allowing people to contribute time as well as money. Ilali applies the same principle to raising our children. Ilali is more than a digital platform. It is a movement to rebuild local communities around creativity, learning, entrepreneurship, and shared responsibility. And not just physical inclusion, but also financial inclusion. Imagine if Uber were owned by the drivers and riders, or Airbnb by hosts and guests. Ilali applies that logic to education, arts, and recreation. Highly rated providers and active families will be able to purchase shares, ensuring the people who deliver value also share in the value created. This model strengthens local economies while reinforcing inclusion, dignity, and community ownership. By strengthening the business foundations of disability, inclusive providers, stable revenue, better visibility, and shared ownership, Ilali helps ensure that inclusion is not charity, but a viable economic pathway. South Africa's diversity and complexity make it the ideal place to build a game-changing solution. If we can design an inclusive, community-driven system that works here across language, inequality, disability, and geography, then it can succeed anywhere in the world. Together with our partners at Assetage South Africa, and with grant support from Business and Arts South Africa, we are preparing to build the first Ilali prototype with a planned launch at the end of March 2026. It is a scalable, parent-tech proof of concept at the intersection of education, youth development, business, and technology in an economic sector worth hundreds of billions worldwide, proudly made in South Africa. This conference reflects the essence of Ilali: participation, shared commitment, and an understanding that inclusive communities are built through collective effort. Our platform can only grow through collaboration, and the future we are trying to shape depends on each of us stepping or rolling forward together. Thank you for listening, and thank you for being a part of this village.